everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you two ways to make scrunchies. One is a really nice, easy, fast way, perfect for beginners, and one is a little bit more advanced and teaches you a really fun technique, which I think you're going to like. So stick around and let's make a couple of scrunchies. We've already made, with that same 1 meter fabric, we made our boxer shorts, right? That's in that video. And then we took the scraps and we made this drawstring bag. That's in that video. And now we've got this piece left over. We've hardly got any fabric left from our 1 meter. We've done a really good job of using up all our pieces. So there is one more thing I think we can make, and that's the scrunchie. So when I make a scrunchie, I like to use a piece that is 4 inches by 18 inches. I'm going to use the same snip and tear method I've been doing and get a piece that's 4 by 18. Ready? There's 18. And I don't really like to use the selvage ever. So I'm going to tear off that selvage, and then I'm going to tear, there's only another 1/2 inch to tear off. So there we go. The smaller piece is about 3 inches by 18 inches, and I'm going to use that one for the easy scrunchie. Not because it's any easier, but just because that's what I have. We're going to kind of do both at the same time, so you can kind of decide which method you want to use. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start on the iron for the easy one.
For the easy scrunchie, we're just going to turn back one end about 1/2 inch, 1.5 centimeters, and just give that a press. Then we're going to take that to the sewing machine and we'll fold that in half right side together. I don't like to press it inside out because then you get an inside out press. So don't press it now. We're just going to be sewing down that edge. Now, I actually just made a little detour to my sewing machine, and for the more advanced one, I sew the 2 short ends together at the 15 line. So while I'm at the iron here, I'm just going to open that out and press that seam open and flat. So now we're going to go to the machine. For the easy one, I'm going to bring the 2 corners together and these edges together. And I'm starting, and I'm going to sew right over that folded edge. I'm just using the edge of my presser foot as a guide here. And right to the end with the back tack. So that one's ready to be turned right side out, and then you put your elastic through. Now, the trickier one, which I think it's kind of a fun technique to learn, it's called stuffing the sausage. And so we're going to be putting these 2 seam parts together right side together, and this is why it's called stuffing the sausage, because all of that has to get stuffed in. We don't want to catch any of the other side. I just want to bring those 2 edges of the seam together. Good. And I'm going to start sewing right there, again at the edge of my presser foot. And then I start pulling out the sausage stuffing and push in, like tuck everything in, bring my edges together. Pull out more stuffing, tuck it all in so I don't catch it in the seam. And keep pulling it through. It's kind of a fun technique. So if you haven't tried this, it actually comes in handy for a lot of different kinds of techniques. I use this on waistbands, headbands, infinity scarves. And even on, you can use a similar variation of this when you're making a cuff on a shirt like this. One more little pull through, and here is where we started sewing. So I'm going to sew and leave a gap there. I don't want to come back to where I started. I'm going to leave a gap about 1.5 inches, 4 centimeters. There we go. And now that's how you turn this one right side out. You're just going to take all of that and pull that all through. Isn't that good? I want to bring that seam right out to the edge. So you can see if that was a stretchy fabric, our headband would basically be done, right? Same idea. Good. We'll take that to the iron. For the easy one, I'm going to stick this safety pin in my folded edge there and dive that safety pin down through. There are other things you can use to turn a tube like this. You can use a chopstick or a pencil, or there are things you can purchase like a loop turner. But you know what, for a wide thing like this, a safety pin is just as easy as anything. And we need the safety pin for the next step anyway, so why not just use it? There. So there are two versions, the easier one and the more advanced, but that we use that stuffing the sausage technique. But both of them we want to press flat now. For the elastic, we can use anywhere from 7 inches to 9 inches. You're going to put your elastic on a pin for both of them. For the easy one, you're just going to start putting it through, put it through, and then pin your elastic to the end. And then keep going. Okay, that comes out. Grab the other end, and you know what, for this, I just tie it. I don't sew it together. Right over left, left over right. You're gonna make quite a tight little knot, because obviously we don't want it to come apart later. Quite a tight knot. And really test that out. Make sure that cannot come out. Perfect. We'll do the same thing on the more advanced one. Finding that gap and then going in. Okay. Pin it to the outside. And then all the way around. Bring your two ends out again and give yourself that nice tight little knot again. Good. Give that a good test. Okay, now back to the machine. The easy one. We're going to tuck in that knot and we're going to tuck the raw end into that folded up end. Okay, tuck everything in there and try to get that all looking good. And then we're just going to be sewing right there. And that's our last step here. So you can see why this is not my favorite technique, right? You end up with that line of stitching right there. My students love this technique because it's so fast and easy. And it's still a cute scrunchie. If you are happy with that technique, then you are done. For the more advanced one, I think I'm going to use a needle and thread. You could, if your thread and your machine match perfectly, you could sew right beside that edge, but this gray is a little dark and I'm going to do it by hand. Okay, let me teach you the ladder stitch. So I've threaded the needle with a good arm's length of thread and I doubled it and tied a knot at the end. Now I want to hide my knot always. So I'm going to stick my needle up inside that fold. Can you see that? So I'm coming out right at the edge of that fold. Good. Now I'm going to just hold my two edges together and I'm going to make a little stitch right in the folded edge on the side closer to me and a little stitch on the side further from me. I'll make a couple stitches and show you why it's called the ladder stitch. Coming right opposite, making another stitch. The stitches are always in the fold. And see here? So those are like the rungs on a ladder, right? And then when you pull your thread tight, they just disappear. Good. So the key is to, when I'm coming out here, put your needle in exactly opposite. And all the traveling you're doing is inside the fold. If I made a big stitch way over here, you would see the thread traveling there, right? We don't want to see that. So you're going to be just coming right from there into the fold on this side. Easy peasy. And as you tighten up your thread, those stitches just disappear and you really don't see any stitching on the outside. And it's pretty quick. When you get to the end, you're going to make your one last little tiny stitch. And see that loop forming? You're going to put your needle back through that loop. This is the way we tie a knot with any hand sewing. Do that a second time. Don't let the loop get tangly. And tighten that up. Now, just before you cut your thread, let me just show you another little trick. And this is like on the hand sewn mouse. If you didn't see that video, check it out. I'm going to put my needle back in right where it's coming out. and pull it out literally anywhere and pull it tight. Then cut my thread so that the tail of thread is hidden on the inside. There, isn't that good? You really don't see any stitching on the outside of our beautiful scrunchie.
Okay, great. There's our two methods for a scrunchie, the more beginner and the more advanced. You can do whichever one you like. Try both, see what you like. The main thing is, I hope you keep sewing. Take care.